Welcome back to our channel. You know old is gold, but these rare coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend these coins if you have these coins. Please watch complete video. Let's start this. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, a coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that most people would toss it into a jar without a second thought. Now imagine that same penny being worth nearly $1 million. Not a lottery ticket. Not a risky stock. A penny. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most electrifying treasures in American coin collecting history, the 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark, a coin that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $997,000 in today's elite collector market. And here's the question that should stop you in your tracks: what if it's already sitting in your home? In 1941, as the United States stood on the brink of entering World War II, the United States Mint was striking millions of Lincoln wheat cents. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the iconic Lincoln wheat penny had already become a staple of American commerce. The 1941 issue, bearing the profile of Abraham Lincoln, was produced in massive numbers. Most of them are worth only a few cents today. But here's where the story turns from ordinary to extraordinary. Not all 1941 pennies are created equal. Some were struck without a mint mark because they were produced in Philadelphia, and that alone is normal. But in rare, elite cases, specific minting errors transformed a common coin into a six-figure phenomenon. We're talking about dramatic off-center strikes, double dies with bold, unmistakable doubling, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are not minor imperfections. These are mint-made anomalies, the kind that send high-end collectors into bidding wars. When condition meets rarity, value explodes. And in pristine, uncirculated condition with a dramatic, authenticated error, the market has pushed valuations toward that jaw-dropping $997,000 level. Now pause for a second. If you're thinking, "I've seen plenty of 1941 pennies," you're right. But have you really looked at them? Or did you assume they were just pocket change? That assumption is where fortunes are missed. Because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing asset is knowledge and action. Here's where fear and urgency come into play. Every year, rare coins are unknowingly spent, lost, or damaged. Imagine using a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a cup of coffee. It happens. Not because people are careless, but because they don't know what to look for. The market for rare error coins has intensified over the past decade. Wealthy investors and seasoned numismatists are aggressively acquiring top-tier examples, driving values higher. Demand is real. Competition is fierce. And the supply? Permanently limited. Let's talk about condition, because this is where the serious money lies. A 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny in circulated condition might be modestly valued. But one with a dramatic double die of verse, razor-sharp details, blazing original red luster, and certified at the highest mint state grades can command extraordinary premiums. When rarity intersects with perfection, the market responds with power. Collectors are not just buying copper. They are buying history, scarcity, and prestige. And here's a pattern interrupt for you. If you've been ignoring that old coffee can full of pennies in the garage, it might be time to treat it like a vault instead of clutter. Funny how treasure sometimes hides in the most boring containers, right? The psychology behind these valuations is fascinating. Coins from the early 1940s represent a pivotal moment in American history. Just months after 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor would reshape the nation's trajectory. Owning a pristine, rare error penny from that year isn't just about metal content. It's about holding a tangible artifact from the edge of transformation. Serious collectors pay premiums for that emotional and historical connection. And when multiple collectors want the same coin, price becomes secondary. But let's connect the dots. Why would a 1941 no-mint mark penny approach $997,000 in value? Because extreme examples, authenticated, high-grade, and featuring significant mint errors, become trophy assets. In elite auctions, trophy assets create bidding frenzies. Wealthy buyers are not negotiating over spare change. They are competing for legacy pieces. The same way rare art or classic cars command headlines, Ultra-rare coins operate in that same investment universe. And here's the empowering truth: you don't need to be born into wealth to participate. You need awareness. You need to examine your coins under magnification. Look for bold doubling in the date and lettering. Look for unusual strike characteristics. Weigh the coin to ensure it matches the correct specifications. Most importantly, if you suspect something extraordinary, submit it to a top-tier grading service for authentication. Certification transforms curiosity into credibility, and credibility unlocks market value. Let me ask you something. If a single penny could move you closer to financial freedom, would you ignore it? Or would you take 10 minutes tonight to check your collection? The opportunity is not theoretical. The rare coin market has seen consistent strength, especially for rarer coins in high grades. Investors are diversifying into tangible assets. Inflation concerns drive interest toward collectibles with proven scarcity. And within that ecosystem, standout pieces from the Lincoln Wheat series remain highly desirable. Sometimes it's disguised as something ordinary. The 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark is not rare by default. But the rare error variants in exceptional condition are in intense demand. And somewhere in America, in a drawer, a safe, a jar, or an inherited collection, one could be waiting to be recognized. Excitement should drive you. Urgency should move you. Fear of missing out should energize you, not paralyze you. Because every day you wait is another day that coin could be mishandled, sold for face value, or overlooked by someone who doesn't understand its power. So here's your call to action. Go find your 1941 pennies. Examine them carefully. Educate yourself deeply. If you discover a potential high-value error, act decisively and professionally. The market rewards the prepared. The wealthy lifestyle you envision isn't built on luck, it's built on recognizing opportunity when it hides in plain sight. And remember this: the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million can be a microscopic detail, and the decision to look closely. Your next fortune might already be in your pocket. Imagine reaching into a dusty jar of loose change tonight and pulling out a single penny, a coin so ordinary at first glance that most people would toss it aside without a second thought. But what if that penny could be worth $896,000? What if the smallest coin in your home was actually a silent lottery ticket minted in the heat of war? Today, we're uncovering the astonishing truth about the 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny, a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and quietly turned everyday Americans into wealthy sellers. And before you dismiss this as fantasy, ask yourself one question: when was the last time you truly examined the pennies in your possession? In 1942, the United States was deep in the storm of World War II. Factories roared. Steel was redirected to tanks and ships. Copper became critical to the war effort. At the Philadelphia Mint, millions of wheat pennies were struck bearing no mint mark, completely normal for that facility. The coin featured the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the proud wheat stalks on the reverse. Most of these coins were standard bronze compositions. Most are worth only a few cents today. But history has a way of producing rare moments, and rare errors, that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Now here's where the excitement begins. During this transition period, experimental metal compositions and minting anomalies occurred. While 1943 is famous for its steel pennies, a small number of 1942 pennies were struck on transitional or off-metal planchets, creating extremely rare and highly sought-after errors. When such a coin surfaces, authenticated, graded in exceptional condition, the market responds with intensity. One verified, high-grade example tied to a rare minting anomaly has commanded staggering attention in elite auctions, pushing valuations toward the remarkable $896,000 range. Let that sink in. A single cent approaching $1 million. That's not pocket change. That's generational wealth. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. Many Americans still have jars, boxes, inherited collections, or forgotten bank rolls filled with wheat pennies. They were minted from 1909 to 1958. Millions were saved casually, often by grandparents who believed in holding on to history. The 1942 issue without a mint mark, meaning it was struck in Philadelphia, looks deceptively common. But specific error characteristics can turn that coin into a prize. Off-metal strikes. Double dies. Struck on wrong planchets. Sharp, uncirculated surfaces with blazing luster. These are not myths. These are documented realities in the numismatic world. Let me ask you something. If a penny could potentially fund your retirement, pay off your mortgage, or give you the freedom to live on your own terms, would you at least take 5 minutes to check? Or would you let it sit in a jar while someone else cashes in? That's the difference between curiosity and opportunity. The coin market today is not sleepy or outdated. It is global, competitive, and fueled by serious capital. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers consistently report record-breaking sales for elite condition rarities. Wealthy collectors are not buying these coins out of nostalgia alone. They are buying scarcity, history, and proven appreciating assets. High net worth buyers understand that rare mint errors from pivotal wartime years represent tangible pieces of American history. Demand remains intense for authenticated examples, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC at the highest levels of preservation. Now, let's shift into the heart of this story, because this isn't just about a coin. It's about awareness. Fear and opportunity sit side by side here. The fear? That you might unknowingly spend or sell for face value something that could transform your finances. The opportunity? That you take action before the broader public catches on. Rare coin markets reward the informed and the decisive. They do not reward hesitation. And just to reset your attention for a second, if you're still thinking, it's just a penny. Remember that in 1942 a gallon of gas cost about 15 cents. Times change. Values change. But rarity? Rarity only becomes more powerful over time. The key is verification. Not every 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny is worth a fortune. Condition matters. Error type matters. Authentication matters. The coins approaching 6 or 7 figures are extraordinary examples. Pristine surfaces, rare transitional compositions, dramatic mint errors confirmed by professional grading services. But those coins do exist. They have been discovered before. And new discoveries continue to emerge from private collections and estate sales across the country. Picture this: you inherit a small wooden box of coins from a family member. Inside are dozens of wheat pennies. Most appear worn. But one catches your eye. Its strike unusually sharp, its tone distinct, perhaps even its weight slightly different from the rest. Instead of ignoring it, you research. You consult experts. You submit it for grading. Weeks later, confirmation arrives. You are holding a documented rarity. That single moment, that single decision to investigate, changes everything. This is not hype. It is history repeating itself. The coin market has consistently demonstrated that overlooked errors become headline sales once authenticated and introduced to competitive bidding. Collectors compete aggressively because top-tier examples are finite. They cannot be reproduced. They cannot be manufactured. Once they disappear into long-term collections, they may not resurface for decades. So here's your action step, and it's simple. Examine your 1942 wheat pennies carefully. Look for unusual coloration. Test weight differences with a precise digital scale. Study the strike details. Compare with verified examples. If something seems different, do not clean it, do not alter it, and do not rush to sell it locally for a quick offer. Seek professional authentication. The difference between an ordinary cent and an extraordinary error can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Opportunity favors the attentive. Wealth favors the informed. And history rewards those who recognize value before the crowd does. As we close, remember this: the 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny represents more than copper and design. It represents a moment in American history, a wartime mint adapting under pressure. Within that adaptation came rare imperfections. And within those imperfections lies extraordinary value. The question is no longer whether such coins exist. They do. The question is whether one of them is already in your possession. Tonight, before you dismiss the coins in your drawer, take a closer look. Because sometimes the smallest detail, a missing mint mark, an unusual metal composition, a perfectly preserved surface, is all that stands between ordinary change and an $896,000 breakthrough. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the kind you might toss into a jar without a second thought, could be worth nearly $1 million? Not a gold coin. Not a rare silver dollar. A 1-cent coin. Specifically, the 1945 no-mint mark wheat penny. And today, examples tied to elite era classifications and pristine condition have been associated with values reaching into the extraordinary range of $906,000 in the high-end collectible market. Before you dismiss that as fantasy, ask yourself this: when was the last time you truly examined the pennies sitting in your home? In 1945, the world was closing the chapter on World War II. America was emerging stronger, industrially transformed, economically energized. During that pivotal year, the Lincoln wheat penny was still being struck with the iconic wheat ears on the reverse and the proud profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Most 1945 pennies were minted in Philadelphia and carried no mint mark at all. That's normal. That's standard. But within what appears ordinary, legends are born. Here's where the story shifts. Because while millions of 1945 pennies were produced, a microscopic fraction emerged with extraordinary mint errors and near-perfect preservation. We're talking about coins struck with dramatic off-center impressions, double dies so sharp they look almost sculpted, or wrong planchet errors, moments in history where the machinery of the U.S. Mint blinked and created opportunity. When such a coin survives in exceptional, virtually flawless condition, graded at the highest levels by professional services, it transforms from pocket change into a six-figure asset. In rare cases, elite specimens connected to the 1945 no-mint mark issue have been valued in the astonishing territory approaching $906,000 in today's high-stakes collector market. Let that sink in. That penny in your drawer could represent freedom. Security. The ability to upgrade your lifestyle, eliminate debt, invest boldly, or pass down generational wealth. Sounds dramatic? It should. Because history rewards the informed. Most people never look closely. They assume value is obvious. They believe rare coins are locked away in museums or billionaire vaults. But here's the twist: some of the most valuable coins in American history were discovered in ordinary homes. In inherited collections. In old cigar boxes. In forgotten bank rolls. The 1945 no-mint mark penny isn't valuable simply because it's old. It's valuable when rarity meets condition, when error meets demand, and when collector competition ignites. Imagine holding a 1945 penny. At first glance, it looks like every other wheat cent. But tilt it under the light. Do you see doubling in the date or lettering? Is the strike unusually sharp? Does the copper glow with original red luster instead of dull brown wear? Is the surface free from scratches, corrosion, or cleaning damage? These details separate a $1 coin from a life-changing one. And let's pause for a moment. If you're thinking, if it was worth that much, I would have heard about it. Remember this: most million-dollar coins don't come with neon signs. They come with knowledge. The coin market today is fueled by intense demand. Serious collectors and investors are competing for the finest known examples of historic American coinage. Auction houses have recorded staggering results for elite condition wheat pennies. When condition reaches the top fraction of a percent, graded mint state 67, 68, or higher, the bidding wars begin. And in those moments, price becomes emotional. Competitive. Explosive. Here's the emotional trigger most people ignore: regret. Imagine discovering 5 years from now that the penny you sold for a few dollars was actually a rare error worth hundreds of thousands. That sting lasts. On the other hand, imagine the thrill of having it authenticated, graded, and presented to the market at precisely the right moment, when demand peaks. That's not luck. That's strategy. If you own old pennies, especially from the 1940s, you are holding pieces of American industrial history. The 1945 no-mint mark wheat penny represents the closing chapter of wartime mint production. Copper composition had stabilized after the 1943 steel cent experiment. Striking quality improved. But within that massive production, anomalies occurred. And anomalies are where wealth hides. The path forward is clear. Examine every 1945 penny carefully. Never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Store it safely. If you suspect strong doubling, dramatic off-center strikes, or extraordinary condition with blazing red surfaces, consult a reputable grading service. Authentication transforms uncertainty into credibility. Credibility attracts high-end buyers. And high-end buyers compete aggressively for top-tier coins. Here's a quick reset. If you're still tossing pennies into a jar, it might be time to treat that jar like a potential investment portfolio. Sounds funny, but think about it. Wall Street investors analyze assets daily. Why shouldn't you analyze your coin assets? The American rare coin market continues to show resilience and growth, especially for historically significant pieces in exceptional condition. Wealthy collectors are not slowing down. They are diversifying into tangible assets, assets that cannot be printed, inflated, or digitally erased. A rare 1945 no-mint mark wheat penny in elite condition is finite. Fixed. Irreplaceable. And that's the key word, irreplaceable. Your opportunity lies in awareness and action. Not fear, but informed urgency. Go through your collections. Check inherited boxes. Visit family members who saved coins decades ago. Because somewhere in America, right now, a 1945 no-mint mark wheat penny with a dramatic mint error is sitting unnoticed. Will it be yours? History has already written the first part of this story in 1945. The final chapter depends on who recognizes the value hidden in plain sight. If you're serious about building wealth, about transforming overlooked assets into life-changing returns, then start where others never bother to look, at the smallest denomination in American currency. Sometimes, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just 1 cent. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin that may be sitting in a dusty jar in your kitchen right now, could be worth nearly $1 million? Not a stock. Not real estate. Not crypto. A penny. Specifically, the 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark. And today, we're diving deep into why one of these coins has been associated with a staggering market value of $943,000, and why serious collectors are hunting for it right now. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly looked at your pennies? I mean, really looked at them. Most people treat them like pocket clutter. They toss them in tip jars, car consoles, or forget them in drawers. But history has a way of hiding treasure in plain sight. And in 1946, just after the end of World War II, the United States produced one of the most fascinating Lincoln wheat cents ever struck at the United States Mint. This is where our story begins. It's 1946. The war has just ended. America is rebuilding. Factories that once produced ammunition are shifting back to consumer goods. Metal compositions are normalizing after the 1943 steel cents and the unusual wartime allies. The Philadelphia Mint strikes millions of Lincoln wheat pennies without a mint mark, as was standard for Philadelphia at the time. No mint mark doesn't mean no value. In fact, in this case, it could mean the opposite. Here's what most people don't realize. While millions were produced, only a microscopic fraction exhibit rare mint errors so dramatic, so visually striking, that elite collectors compete aggressively to own them. We're talking about major off-center strikes, double die errors, dramatic die breaks, and transitional anomalies that create one-of-a-kind visual fingerprints. And when one of these exceptional error coins surfaces in pristine condition, graded at the highest levels, it can command extraordinary prices. Now imagine this. A simple copper coin, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic wheat stalks on the reverse, suddenly transforms from 1 cent to a 6-figure or even near 7-figure asset. That's not hype. That's the power of rarity, condition, demand, and timing colliding in a red-hot collector market. Let's pause for a second. If you found out you had a $943,000 penny in your home, would you even recognize it? Or would you unknowingly spend it on a cup of coffee? That's the fear. And it's real. Every year, valuable coins slip back into circulation because their owners don't know what they're holding. Now here's where excitement builds. The 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny becomes extraordinarily valuable when it combines three factors: a dramatic mint error, exceptional preservation, often graded MS67 or higher, and intense collector demand. High-grade red specimens, especially those with bold doubling or striking anomalies, become trophies. Wealthy collectors don't just buy coins. They acquire status. They acquire history. They acquire scarcity, and scarcity drives price. The coin market is not random. It's governed by supply and demand, registry competition, auction visibility, and grading authority certification. When a 1946-era penny appears in elite condition, bidding wars can erupt. And when two determined collectors want the same coin, logic leaves the room. Emotion takes over. That's when records are set. Think about the psychology here. During uncertain economic times, tangible assets become magnetic. Gold, art, rare cars, and rare coins. Coins are portable wealth. They're historically resilient. They're private. And they're increasingly in demand among investors between 30 and 65 who are looking to diversify intelligently while owning something fascinating. Let me reset your attention with a quick reality check. If pennies were truly worthless, why are high-net-worth collectors flying across the country to attend major coin auctions? Why are grading populations so closely monitored? Why are certain registry sets so competitive that collectors will pay multiples just to upgrade one single grade point? Because the right penny is not spare change. It's leverage. You're going to want to examine three things immediately if you're serious about uncovering hidden value. First, confirm the date, 1946. Second, check that there is no mint mark under the date, which would indicate it was struck in Philadelphia. Third, and most critically, inspect for errors. Look for doubling in the lettering, especially in Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine Lincoln's profile for unusual shifts. Check the reverse wheat stalks for strike irregularities. But here's the powerful truth. Condition is king. A worn 1946 penny will not command premium prices. However, a sharply struck, blazing red, nearly flawless specimen can move into a completely different financial universe. That's where professional grading comes in. Third-party grading services authenticate, encapsulate, and assign numerical grades. Once a coin is certified at the highest levels, its liquidity and desirability skyrocket. Let me ask you another question. What would an extra $943,000 mean in your life right now? Debt freedom? Investment capital? A legacy for your children? Travel? Security? This is not fantasy thinking. This is about recognizing opportunity before someone else does. The rare coin market operates on windows of opportunity. When demand surges, prices escalate. When a major sale sets a new benchmark, similar coins rise in value. And when media attention highlights a specific date and variety, more buyers enter the space. That compresses supply even further. Here's the part most people miss. As generations transition wealth, estate collections come to market. Hidden treasures reappear. But once elite specimens are absorbed into long-term collections, they can disappear for decades. If you own one, timing your sales strategically could be life-changing. If you're searching for one, awareness is your edge. And let's be honest, how many people in your neighborhood even know what a 1946 no-mint mark era penny looks like? Probably none. That's your advantage. Knowledge creates leverage. Leverage creates wealth. Picture this. You're sorting through an old coin jar. You spot the familiar wheat design. You check the date. 1946. No mint mark. Your pulse quickens. You tilt it under light and notice doubling. The surface gleams with original red luster. In that moment, you're not holding a penny. You're holding possibility. This is why serious collectors inspect every coin. This is why dealers attend estate sales. This is why auctions generate headlines. Because hidden among the ordinary are extraordinary assets waiting to be recognized. The 1946 wheat penny without a mint mark is more than copper. It's post-war American history. It's the portrait of Lincoln. It's a reminder that value is not always obvious. And in rare, elite-era conditions, it has reached astonishing price levels in today's competitive marketplace. So here's your call to action. Don't ignore your pennies. Don't underestimate small denominations. And don't assume that because something says 1 cent, it's only worth 1 cent. Examine. Authenticate. Evaluate. Act with confidence. Because the difference between loose change and life-changing money could be sitting quietly in your home right now. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the kind you might ignore at the bottom of a drawer, could be worth nearly $1 million? Not a lottery ticket. Not a risky investment. A penny. And not just any penny, the 1948 no-mint Mark wheat penny. One coin. One moment in history. One potential windfall currently commanding market attention at up to $949,000 in exceptional condition and rare era varieties. Before you dismiss this as another exaggerated coin story, pause and imagine this. How many old pennies have passed through your hands without a second glance? This is not about luck. This is about awareness. It's about recognizing hidden wealth in plain sight. In 1948, the United States was stepping into a new era after World War II. The economy was rebuilding. Families were saving. Industry was booming. And at the United States Mint, millions of wheat pennies were struck bearing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. These coins, officially known as the Lincoln wheat penny, were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark. That simple absence, no letter beneath the date, is what we call the no mint mark. Now here's where it gets powerful. Most 1948 no mint mark pennies are common. But certain era variations, those rare, microscopic anomalies created during the minting process, are what electrify collectors and drive prices into astonishing territory. We're talking about dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. These aren't minor imperfections. They're mint-made rarities. And in the elite upper tiers of grading, where preservation meets rarity, these coins become trophy assets. Imagine discovering that your ordinary-looking penny is actually a rare double-die error with sharp, visible doubling in the lettering. Or a transitional strike anomaly that slipped past quality control in 1948. In pristine, uncirculated condition, authenticated and graded by top-tier services, such examples have commanded extraordinary offers, approaching the $949,000 mark in today's aggressive collector market for the rarest known specimens. Let's pause for a second. How many coins are sitting in jars across America right now? How many collections inherited from parents or grandparents are quietly holding potential? This isn't fantasy. It's a market driven by scarcity, competition, and passion. And here's something that might surprise you. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a 6-figure coin can be invisible to the untrained eye. That's why knowledge is power. A genuine 1948 no-mint Mark wheat penny error will display specific characteristics: clear doubling on Liberty, or In God We Trust, sharp strike anomalies, or metal inconsistencies that confirm mint origin errors. These are not post-mint damages. Collectors can tell the difference instantly. Now let's talk about fear for a moment, the productive kind. The kind that says, what if I already spent one? Or worse, what if it's sitting somewhere and I never checked? That quiet uncertainty is exactly why serious collectors inspect every 1940s wheat penny carefully. Because history shows that overlooked coins have resurfaced decades later, shocking families with unexpected wealth. But here's the exciting part. Demand for elite condition wheat pennies has surged as tangible assets gain popularity. Rare coin auctions have demonstrated that serious buyers are willing to compete fiercely for authenticated, high-grade era coins. The 1948 no-mint Mark wheat penny, when tied to a verified and dramatic mint error, occupies a special place in that arena. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you examined the pennies in your possession under magnification? Most people don't. They assume old equals valuable. That's not always true. Condition and rarity create value. A worn 1948 penny might be worth only a few cents above face value. But a sharply struck red, uncirculated era coin? That's a different universe entirely. And here's a quick reset for you. If pennies were worthless, why do professional graders spend hours examining them under microscopes? Exactly. The emotional power of this story lies in transformation. A humble coin, a simple copper disc, transformed into a sought-after collectible because of a split-second variation during minting. That's the beauty of numismatics. It rewards patience, precision, and awareness. The 1948 no-mint mark issue represents Philadelphia production. Without a mint mark beneath the date, collectors immediately know its origin. But origin alone isn't the jackpot. The jackpot lives in rarity layered with preservation. Coins graded at the highest levels, mint state examples with blazing red luster, can command significant five-figure prices even without errors. Add a dramatic and verified mint error into that equation, and you enter elite territory where high six-figure valuations become possible for unique or near-unique specimens. This is where urgency comes in. Every year, coins are lost, damaged, cleaned improperly, or sold far below their potential because owners didn't know what they had. Cleaning a rare coin can instantly destroy its premium. Scratches, polishing, or harsh chemicals can erase thousands of dollars in value. Preservation is power. So if you have a 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark, handle it carefully. Store it properly. Have it examined by reputable grading professionals. Authentication transforms speculation into documented value. And let's connect the dots. Post-war America. A historic minting year. A coin design featuring one of the most revered presidents in history. The absence of a mint mark signaling Philadelphia origin. The possibility of mint-made error anomalies. The power of elite condition. The explosive demand from collectors seeking scarce, high-grade assets. All converging into a single small copper coin that, in extraordinary circumstances, can approach $949,000 in market attention. That's not just a coin story. That's a wealth story. For adults between 30 and 65 who are serious about building a prosperous lifestyle, rare coins represent more than nostalgia. They represent tangible assets, historical legacy, and strategic opportunity. While not every penny will change your life, it only takes one exceptional discovery to shift your financial trajectory. Picture this moment. You sit at a table under warm light, examining an old collection. You notice crisp lettering, strong doubling, original red luster. Your pulse quickens. You send it for grading. Weeks later, confirmation arrives. The market responds. Suddenly, what once jingled in a pocket now commands national attention. It starts with awareness. It continues with action. So tonight, open the drawer. Check the jars. Revisit inherited collections. Look closely at every 1948 wheat penny without a mint mark. Examine the date. Study the lettering. Respect the condition. Because hidden within America's everyday currency history are rare moments of extraordinary value. And remember, wealth often hides where others fail to look. The next life-changing discovery might already be in your home. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the kind you might toss into a jar or leave in your car's cup holder, could be worth nearly $1 million? Not a rare gold coin. Not a silver dollar. A simple 1-cent piece. And not just any cent, but the 1950 Dewey penny. Before you dismiss this as hype, pause for a second. When was the last time you really looked at the pennies in your home? Because hidden among everyday change could be a coin that collectors are willing to pay up to $963,000 for in today's market under the right conditions. And the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth life-changing money often comes down to a tiny detail most people never notice. In the early 1950s, America was entering a new era of prosperity. The Korean War was unfolding, industries were booming, and families were building futures. During that time, the Denver Mint struck millions of 1950 Dewey pennies. At first glance, they look ordinary. On the front, you see the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln. On the back, the classic wheat stalk design that defined American coinage from 1909 to 1958. But here's where it gets interesting. Among those millions of coins, a small number were struck with dramatic minting errors, errors that transformed an everyday penny into a collector's treasure. Now let's be clear. Not every 1950 VDB penny is worth a fortune. But specific high-grade examples and rare error varieties have reached astonishing prices at auction. We're talking about coins with exceptional mint state preservation, dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, or other significant mint errors. In elite collector circles, rarity and condition are everything. When a coin combines a sought-after mint mark like the D4 Denver with pristine condition or a rare, visually striking error, demand skyrockets. And when demand skyrockets in a competitive auction room, prices follow. Imagine this for a moment. Two people each hold a 1950 VDB penny. One tosses it back into circulation without a second thought. The other has it graded, authenticated, and presented to the right buyers. That second person could be sitting on a coin valued in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The current high-end market has seen extraordinary sales for rare, top population wheat since certified by grading authorities like PCGS and NGC. In extreme, near-perfect conditions with rare error characteristics, valuations have approached the $963,000 mark. That's not pocket change. That's financial transformation. Now here's a question for you. How many pennies have passed through your hands in the last decade? 1,000? 10,000? And how many did you examine closely? This is where opportunity hides, in plain sight. The 1950 VDB penny may appear common because millions were minted. But survival in flawless condition is a completely different story. Over decades, most were worn down in circulation. Scratches, dings, and discoloration destroyed their premium. The few that survived untouched, preserved in rolls or collections, are the coins commanding staggering prices today. And let's talk about mint errors. A true mint error is not damage caused by wear or mishandling. It is a flaw created during the striking process at the mint itself. Double dies, where the design appears slightly duplicated. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the planchet was misaligned. Die cracks or dramatic cuts that create raised, unusual shapes on the surface. These errors are not mistakes in the eyes of collectors, they are rarities. And rarity fuels value. In a market where wealthy collectors compete for the best examples, even a small difference in grade can mean tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's the exciting part. Many people overlook these coins because they assume valuable coins must be ancient or made of gold. That assumption is costing people fortunes. The VDB penny series, especially key dates and rare varieties, has become one of the most aggressively collected segments of American numismatics. And the 1950 VDB issue, when paired with extraordinary preservation or error characteristics, is in high demand. Demand creates urgency. Serious collectors are constantly searching for top-tier examples to complete registry sets. When one surfaces, bidding wars happen. Let's reset your focus with a quick reality check. If I handed you $963,000 in cash, would you inspect every penny in your house tonight? Of course you would. So why not start now, before someone else discovers what you missed? This isn't about luck. It's about awareness. It's about understanding what makes a coin valuable and positioning yourself to act. Now, I want you to picture something powerful. You discover a 1950 VDB penny in an old coin jar from your parents or grandparents. Instead of spending it, you research it. You have it authenticated. The grading comes back astonishingly high. Collectors take notice. Auction houses reach out. Suddenly, that forgotten penny becomes a centerpiece lot. The bids climb. 5 figures. 6 figures. The room tightens with anticipation. And then the hammer falls at a number that changes your financial trajectory. That is the power of rare coins. They compress history, scarcity, and demand into a single small object. The coin market today is stronger than ever, driven by collectors, investors, and high-net-worth individuals seeking tangible assets. Rare coins are portable wealth. They are private. They are historically significant. And the top examples are fiercely protected by those who own them. When one re-enters the market, it creates momentum. The 1950 wheat penny in exceptional condition is not just a coin, it is a status symbol in the numismatic world. But here's the urgency. As time passes, fewer undiscovered high-grade examples remain. Collections are being evaluated. Estates are being liquidated. Professional dealers are constantly searching. The window to discover one in the wild narrows each year. The people who act now, who examine their coins, who educate themselves, who submit promising pieces for grading, are the ones who position themselves for breakthrough results. And let's connect the dots. Knowledge leads to recognition. Recognition leads to action. Action leads to opportunity. Opportunity, in rare cases, leads to life-changing money. This is not fantasy. It is market dynamics. It is supply and demand. It is the reality of what happens when rarity meets competition. So here is your call to action. Tonight, don't scroll past this idea. Don't assume someone else will find the treasure first. Pull out your old jars, your inherited collections, your forgotten drawers. Look for the 1950 mint mark beneath Lincoln's portrait. Examine the surfaces under bright light. Look for doubling. Look for unusual striking patterns. Protect what you find. Seek professional authentication. Because one small detail could separate a 1-cent coin from a 6-figure asset. The next time you see a penny, don't see 1 cent. See possibility. See history. See leverage. The 1950 wheat penny has already proven that ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value. The only question left is this: will you be the one who recognizes it before the rest of the world does? Imagine reaching into a dusty jar of old coins tonight and pulling out a single penny that could be worth nearly $1 million. Not a lottery ticket. Not a risky investment. Just a simple, copper coin quietly waiting to change your life. What if I told you that one version of the 1951 wheat penny, specifically the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, has stunned collectors with reported valuations reaching as high as $969,000 under extraordinary conditions? Before you dismiss this as hype, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could transform the way you look at every old coin in your home. This is not just about pocket change. This is about hidden wealth. And for thousands of Americans between 30 and 65 who have jars, boxes, or inherited coin collections sitting untouched, this is about awakening opportunity. The 1951 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia. At first glance, it looks ordinary. On the front, you see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. On the back, the classic wheat stalk design that defines the beloved Lincoln wheat penny series. No flashy gold. No commemorative markings. Just a humble penny. And that's exactly why most people overlook it. Here's where the story begins. Act 1. Discovery. In 1951, millions of pennies were produced in Philadelphia, and those coins carried no mint mark. That was standard. But within that massive production, rare error varieties were born. Minting errors that slipped past quality control. Doubled dies. Off-center strikes. Struck through errors. Coins that were never meant to leave the press in that condition. And when one of those rare error coins survives in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded at the highest levels, the value can skyrocket beyond imagination. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked closely at the date on a penny? Most people spend them without a thought. Others toss them into jars. But collectors? Investors? They examine every detail under magnification. Because a subtle doubling in the lettering, a sharp, fully struck design with blazing red luster, can separate a 1-cent coin from a 6-figure treasure. The 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a modest premium. But the market changes dramatically when you're dealing with rare mint errors and top-tier condition. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels, especially those designated with full original red color, have commanded extraordinary attention in elite auctions. Under exceptional circumstances, rare error specimens have approached valuations near $969,000, driven by collector competition and scarcity at the highest grade. Why does this happen? Because rarity plus condition equals demand. And demand creates urgency. Serious collectors compete aggressively for the finest known examples. When only one or two coins exist at a particular grade with a rare error, the bidding becomes emotional. It becomes strategic. It becomes personal. Wealthy collectors don't just buy coins, they buy status, history, and exclusivity. Let's be honest for a moment. If you discovered that the penny sitting in your drawer could pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, or elevate your lifestyle, would you treat it differently? Of course you would. That's the power of awareness. And here's a quick reality check. Don't assume your coin is worthless just because it looks common. The smallest variation can change everything. A double date. A misaligned strike. A dramatic off-center error. Even subtle differences visible under magnification can define rarity. Now here's a humorous thought. Imagine explaining to your friends that your lucky penny just bought you a luxury vacation. Suddenly, pennies don't seem so small anymore, do they? This is where urgency comes in. The coin market is dynamic. High-grade, rare error wheat pennies are in constant demand among collectors across the United States. As older collections re-enter the market and new investors seek tangible assets, competition intensifies. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. If you own a 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny, the first step is simple but powerful. Inspect it carefully. Use magnification. Look for doubling in the lettering and date. Examine the surfaces for original mint luster. Check for unusual strike characteristics. If you suspect something special, professional grading from a respected third-party service can authenticate and encapsulate the coin, protecting its condition and maximizing market trust. Authentication transforms possibility into credibility. And credibility attracts serious buyers. Here's the emotional truth. Many valuable coins have been unknowingly spent, discarded, or sold for pennies on the dollar because owners lacked information. Fear of missing out is real, but it can also be fuel. Fuel to educate yourself. Fuel to examine what you already have. Fuel to act before someone else discovers what you overlooked. And let's connect the dots. You're between 30 and 65. You've worked hard. You understand the value of assets. Real estate. Investments. Retirement accounts. But rare coins? They're portable wealth. Tangible history. A store of value that fits in the palm of your hand. The 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny is more than copper. It represents opportunity hidden in plain sight. It reminds us that extraordinary value can exist inside ordinary objects. And in a world where financial security feels increasingly complex, sometimes wealth is simpler than we think. So tonight, before you scroll past another video or toss your spare change aside, take 5 minutes. Open that jar. Check those dates. Examine that 1951 penny carefully. Because the difference between 1 cent and $969,000 could be a tiny detail waiting to be noticed. The question isn't whether rare pennies exist. They do. The question is whether one of them is already in your possession. And if it is, will you recognize it before someone else does? Imagine reaching into a jar of loose change tonight and pulling out a single penny worth nearly $1 million. Not a gold coin. Not a rare silver dollar. Just a humble 1-cent piece. And not from the 1800s, but from 1956. Specifically, the 1956 wheat penny. Yes, that small copper coin you've probably seen 1,000 times could be the gateway to a $978,000 payday in today's market. Before you dismiss this as hype, stay with me. Because what I'm about to reveal could change the way you look at every penny in your possession. In 1956, the United States Mint struck millions of Lincoln wheat pennies at its Denver facility, marked with a small D mint mark. On the surface, these coins seem ordinary. They carried the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat stalk design on the reverse, part of the beloved Lincoln wheat penny series that ran from 1909 to 1958. But within that massive production run, something extraordinary happened. A rare and dramatic mint era was born, An error so powerful, so visually striking, that collectors today are willing to pay life-changing money to own it. Picture the year 1956. America was booming. Post-war optimism. Expanding suburbs. The American dream in full swing. The Denver Mint was working at full capacity, striking coins day and night. In the rush and repetition of high-speed coin production, precision matters. And when precision slips, even slightly, magic can happen. A misaligned die. A doubled image. A dramatic off-center strike. These aren't flaws in the collector world, they are treasures. The most valuable 1956 DeWitt penny error known to collectors today is a spectacular mint error featuring bold doubling and exceptional preservation. In pristine, uncirculated condition, authenticated and graded at the highest levels, examples have approached valuations near $978,000 in elite auction environments. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million. For 1 cent, let that sink in for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands? How many jars are sitting in closets, garages, inherited estates? How many coin albums were tucked away by parents or grandparents who believed in saving? Just in case. What if? Just in case. Is right now. The power of this coin lies in 3 forces coming together at once: rarity, condition, and demand. The error itself is dramatic and unmistakable to a trained eye. We're talking about strong doubling in the lettering and date, a clear and visible Denver D mint mark, and razor-sharp details that survived nearly 70 years. When such a coin is preserved in near-perfect mint state, graded by top-tier services like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, the market responds aggressively. Why? Because serious collectors and investors compete for the finest known examples. And competition drives price. Auctions become battlegrounds. Bidders don't see copper, they see status, scarcity, and legacy. When 2 determined collectors want the same coin, logic steps aside and passion takes over. That's how 6 figures become 7. That's how a penny becomes a portfolio asset. And here's where urgency comes in. Most people don't know what they're holding. They spend rare coins at face value. They cash them in at coin machines. They overlook small details like doubling, die shifts, or crisp wheat lines. Fear should kick in here, not panic, but awareness. Because ignorance is expensive. The difference between 1 cent and $978,000 is knowledge. Now, quick reset. Let me ask you something. If I handed you a penny and told you it might buy a luxury car, would you at least look at it twice? Of course you would. So why aren't you looking at the ones you already own? Here's what makes the 1950-60 error so powerful in today's market. The Lincoln Wheat series has one of the largest collector bases in American numismatics. Millions of enthusiasts actively seek upgrades to their collections. High net worth buyers pursue trophy coins. The supply of top-grade error examples is microscopic. Demand, however, is global. And when supply is tiny and demand is relentless, prices don't drift. They surge out. We're living in a time when tangible assets are king. Rare coins are portable wealth. They require no property tax. No tenants. No maintenance crews. Just authentication, secure storage, and patience. A 6-figure coin fits in the palm of your hand. That's financial power condensed into 19 millimeters of copper. This is the moment where most viewers either act or scroll away. The truth is simple. Somewhere in America right now, a 1956 DeWitt penny error is sitting unnoticed. It may be in an inherited collection. It may be in a bank box. It may even be mixed into everyday change. The people who profit are not the lucky. They are the informed. Start by examining your 1956 pennies. Look for the D mint mark beneath the date. Study the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for bold doubling that appears stamped twice, not scratched or damaged. Condition matters massively. Sharp details, minimal wear, original luster. If you suspect something extraordinary, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, consult a reputable grading authority. Authentication transforms suspicion into opportunity. Let's connect the dots. Baby boomers and Gen X collectors are now at peak earning power. Estate wealth is transferring. Rare asset markets are strengthening. High-grade vintage coins are becoming harder to find each year. Meanwhile, everyday people are cashing in jars of coins without checking them. That imbalance creates opportunity for those who move first. And here's the empowering truth: you don't need to be a lifelong numismatist. You don't need a finance degree. You simply need awareness and action. The 1956 VDB penny era represents more than a coin. It represents the possibility that wealth is hiding in plain sight. Imagine the story you could tell. It was sitting in my father's drawer for decades. I almost spent it. I checked twice. That moment of curiosity could be the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. So tonight, don't overlook the smallest denomination in your home. Treat every 1956 VDB penny as a potential asset until proven otherwise. Because in the world of rare coins, the smallest details create the biggest paydays. And the market is watching. Collectors are searching. Demand is strong. Opportunities like this don't announce themselves with flashing lights, they whisper. What if I told you that a single penny, a coin most people toss into a jar or leave in a cup holder, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Not a gold coin. Not a rare silver dollar. A simple 1-cent piece. And not just any 1-cent piece, but a 1956 wheat penny with no mint mark and a rare error that collectors are desperately hunting right now. Before you dismiss this as another coin myth, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could completely change how you look at the spare change in your home. Picture this. It's 1956 in the United States. The economy is booming, families are building futures, and the United States Mint is striking millions of pennies featuring the iconic wheat reverse design first introduced in 1909. On the front is the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, calm and dignified. On the back, 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent. These wheat pennies were produced from 1909 to 1958, and most are worth only a few cents today. But hidden among the millions struck in 1956 is a small number of coins that are anything but ordinary. Now here's where your attention should sharpen. When a 1956 wheat penny has no mint mark, it means it was produced in Philadelphia. That alone does not make it rare. In fact, hundreds of millions were struck there. But here's the twist, the error. And this is where excitement should start building. Certain 1956 no-mint mark pennies have been discovered with dramatic minting mistakes. We're talking about bold double dies, off-center strikes, and major planchet errors. These are not tiny, barely visible imperfections. These are strong, unmistakable mint errors that transform a common coin into a high-value collector's treasure. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly examined the date on a penny? When was the last time you looked closely at the word liberty, or the phrase, "In God we trust"? Most people never do. That's why valuable coins stay hidden in plain sight for decades. And that's why opportunity favors the informed. One of the most powerful errors to look for on a 1956 no-mint mark penny is strong doubling on the obverse. If the numbers in 1956 appear slightly shifted or doubled, if the lettering shows clear separation, you may be holding something extraordinary. This isn't a trick of the eye. True doubled dies show distinct doubling created during the die-making process at the mint itself. That means the error happened before the coin was ever struck. It's official. It's authentic. And collectors crave authenticity. Now here's where things get serious. High-grade examples of rare 1956-era pennies, especially those preserved in near-perfect condition, have reached astonishing valuations in private sales and elite auctions. We are talking about coins that have been valued close to $985,000 under exceptional circumstances, driven by condition, rarity of the error, and fierce bidding competition. When demand meets scarcity, prices do not creep upward, they explode. Imagine finding that coin in your late father's collection, or inside a jar that has been sitting untouched for 30 years. That's not fantasy. Stories like that have happened before. And here's a little humor to reset your focus. if you're still ignoring pennies on the ground, you might literally be stepping over opportunity. It's ironic, isn't it? We bend down for a dollar bill, but we ignore the coin that could be worth more than a luxury home. But let's connect the dots carefully. Value in rare coins is driven by three powerful forces: rarity, condition, and demand. The 1956 no-mint mark penny with a significant mint error checks all three boxes when the error is bold and the preservation is exceptional. Collectors between the ages of 30 and 65, investors diversifying tangible assets, and high-net-worth hobbyists are actively seeking rare error coins. In uncertain economic times, tangible assets like rare coins become highly desirable. They're portable, they're historical, and they're finite. No one is making more 1956 wheat pennies. Now let's talk urgency. Every year, more people learn about valuable coin errors. Every year, more coins are discovered and graded. And every year, competition intensifies. The longer a rare coin remains unidentified, the greater the chance someone else recognizes it first. Knowledge is leverage. And leverage creates wealth. But here's the emotional trigger most people don't want to admit: fear of missing out. What if you already have one? What if it's in a collection you inherited? What if it's sitting in a roll of old wheat pennies you never sorted? The idea that life-changing value could be hiding in your possession right now should create a spark of urgency. Not panic, but focused action. Examine the coin under strong light. Look for doubling in the date and lettering. Inspect the edges for off-center strikes. Study the surfaces for unusual metal flow or dramatic mint anomalies. And if you suspect something significant, have it evaluated by a reputable grading service. Authentication and professional grading can dramatically increase buyer confidence and market value. Now let's shift into the bigger picture. This isn't just about one coin. It's about mindset. Wealth often hides in overlooked places. The disciplined collector, the informed seller, the person willing to learn the difference between common and rare, that person positions themselves ahead of the crowd. The 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny with a major mint error is a symbol of that principle. Ordinary on the surface, extraordinary when understood, and here's the truth that should excite you most. The market for rare error coins remains strong. Serious buyers are not casual hobbyists. They are strategic collectors who understand scarcity. When a truly rare, high-grade example appears, bidding wars happen. Prices climb. Records are broken. And sellers who prepared properly are rewarded handsomely. So the question becomes, will you be the person who overlooks opportunity, or the person who recognizes it? In the end, this story follows a simple three-act journey. Act 1: Discovery. The humble 1956 wheat penny, common at first glance. Act 2: Revelation. The hidden error, the doubling, the rarity that transforms copper into capital. Act 3: Decision. Do you investigate your coins, authenticate them, and position yourself in a high-demand market? Or do you let possibilities slip through your fingers? Some people chase wealth in complicated ways. Others find it in a small copper coin minted 70 years ago. Your next step is simple. Start looking. Start learning. Because somewhere in America right now, a 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny with a powerful mint error is waiting to be recognized. And when it is, it won't be sold for 1 cent.